Hi, welcome to Virtually Sunday, a production of Whatsoever You Do Incorporated in Green Bay. My name is Tony Pickler, Mission Outreach Director for Resurrection Parish in Green Bay. When I was a kid growing up in Eau Claire, one of the stories on the news that captivated me and horrified me all at the same time was that of Jim Jones and the Jonestown incident in Guyana. In 1978, Jones had gathered a group of people around him, formed them into a community, and ultimately led them to their demise and death by literally drinking the Kool-Aid laced with poison. A leader had led people astray. 15 years later, another person led a group of disciples in Waco, Texas. His name was David Koresh, and he was the leader of the Branch Davidians. In 1993, after allegations of child sexual abuse and stockpiling of weapons and explosives, the federal government raided the Branch Davidian compound. Gunshots were fired, people on both sides were killed, and a fire ultimately destroyed the compound and the people held up within it. Koresh was considered a leader by his followers, but he, like Jones, had led the people to their demise. I've been watching season 4 of the popular series The Chosen. In the latest episode, episode 3, Jesus is healing and teaching the people. But he's also drawing the ire of the Pharisees, the Jewish leaders. At one point in the episode, shortly after healing the man born blind, and then being confronted by the Pharisees for healing on the Sabbath, which was forbidden, there's a confrontation between Jesus and the leaders. At the same time that Jesus is calling into question the leadership of the Pharisees as they imposed laws on the people which weren't standing for justice and mercy and love, the Jewish leaders urged the people not to follow Jesus, as he was promoting heresy within his blasphemy and steering people away from the law of Moses and the one true God. Two leaders pulling the people into two different directions. What were the people to do? In the Gospel from John this weekend, Jesus says that he is the good shepherd. He knows his sheep, and his sheep know him. He states that there will be one flock and one shepherd, and ultimately, he will lay down his life for the sheep. 2,000 years later, those words seem simple in black and white on a page in the Bible. Yet, Jesus is the good shepherd. And yes, we are to listen to his voice and follow him. But is following a leader that simple, that black and white? The people in Jonestown thought that they were following a leader to a better life, but they weren't. And the people in Waco, Texas thought that they were following their leader, David Koresh, to live a life of purity and goodness. And they weren't. And it ultimately cost them their lives. Which then begs the question, how do we know that we are following a good leader, one who is leading us down the right path? Jones and Koresh are certainly examples of bad leaders. But we have the other extreme as well. Abraham Lincoln, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., just to name a few, all were leading people down a path of goodness, love, peace, and justice. But how do we discern the difference between a Jones and a Gandhi, a Koresh and a Lincoln? One key to consider is how other people who love us react to our following of a leader. It happens with kids on the playground as well as with young adults in a fraternity or a sorority in a college campus. How parents, siblings, other relatives, and loved ones in our lives react to the choices we make on who we hang around with and are led by can make a big difference. We have all probably had the experience of witnessing a young couple moving toward marriage and seemingly everyone thinking this is a bad idea. This couple just doesn't seem right for each other. Listening to those around us react to the people who we are led by is a big part of our leadership discernment. Another key is to be led and guided by a number of people, not just one person. When we follow one guide, one voice, one leader, it's easier to be led astray unless there are checks and balances in our lives. It seems that many in our society place all of our eggs into the basket of one particular political leader. But this can lead us down a path of being misguided and even doing things that are wrong. If you want an image of what this ultimately looks like, just check out again the videos from January 6, 2021. Yes, the easy answer is to say, I'm guided by God, by the gospel message, and by the life of Jesus. But it's through the people in our lives that we experience that guidance. Having more than one person who is showing us the right path of God and leading us down that path is a better plan than following the lone voice of one leader. Finally, Vatican II back in the 60s reminded us that our formed conscience is the ultimate leader. We might be led down many paths by many different people. Some may be good, others might be the wrong path. But that Spirit of God within us, that still, quiet voice that urges us toward the good, toward the right, is our ultimate leader. Why? Because that is God within us, leading us, prodding us, urging us to be the person God calls us to be, and to follow a path that leads to God. God within us and God's kingdom being formed outside of us, both calling us down a path that will ultimately bring us joy, peace, love, and goodness. Jesus reminds us that he is the good shepherd, following his voice, being led by him through others, and following that inner voice of God, our conscience, is no easy task. But while we walk through the valley of the shadow of death sometimes, it is God, through the Christ, that leads us on the right path and guides our feet into the way of peace. May we always follow that path, and may we, with God working through us, lead others down that path as well. Peace be with you.